Welcome back to my channel, US Rare Coins News, Top 1. Today we are talking about a giant dollar coin that many people think is just oversized pocket change, but some versions have quietly sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower $1 isn't just big and heavy. It was created to celebrate America's 200th birthday. And hidden among the millions made for the Bicentennial are silver versions, rare varieties, and high-grade coins that collectors fight over. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly what makes this coin special, how to tell the common ones from the valuable ones, the errors to watch for, and the real prices these coins are bringing today. And near the end, I'll reveal which specific version can surprise you the most. Let's take a close look. Hold it in your hand and you immediately notice the size. It's large, thick, heavier than modern dollar coins. Bring the camera in close to the front. You'll see the bold portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Liberty across the top. In God we trust on the left. And the dual date at the bottom, 1776, 1976. That dual date tells you this is the bicentennial issue. Now flip it over. Instead of the regular eagle landing on the moon design, you'll see the Liberty Bell in front of the moon. It's a powerful image. The Liberty Bell represents America's independence. The moon represents America's achievements in space. Together, they tell a story of 200 years of progress. Underneath, you'll see $1. Around the top, United States of America. And just above the bell, E pluribus unum. Here's something many people don't realize. Even though the coin says 1776 to 1976, these were actually struck in 1975 and 1976. In fact, there are no Eisenhower dollars dated 1975 at all. Every coin from that production period carries the dual date. Now let's talk about rarity. Millions were made. Over 113 million at Philadelphia and more than 82 million at Denver for circulation. So most of the copper-nickel clad versions you find are worth about $1 to $3 in circulated condition, but here's where it gets interesting. There are 40% silver versions. These were struck primarily for collectors at the San Francisco Mint and carry an S mint mark. If you look at the edge of a silver version, you won't see the copper stripe you find on clad coins. Instead, you'll see a more uniform silver-colored edge. Those silver Bicentennial Eisenhower dollars typically sell for $10 to $25 depending on condition and silver prices. In pristine uncirculated condition, they can bring even more, but wait. There's another level. Proof coins. Proof Bicentennial Eisenhower dollars have mirror-like fields and frosted designs. When you tilt them under light, the shine is unmistakable. High-grade proof silver examples, especially deep cameo versions, have sold for several $100s. Perfect graded specimens have reached over $1,000 at major auctions, and now we get to varieties. Collectors talk about Type 1 and Type 2 reverses. The difference is in the lettering style on the reverse. Type 1 has thicker, more blocky letters. Type 2 has thinner, sharper lettering. The Type 2 variety is generally scarcer and more desirable, especially in high grades. Imagine zooming in on the letters of United States of America. The thickness of those letters could mean the difference between a common coin and a more collectible one. There are also error coins. Off-center strikes. Clipped planchets. Doubled dies. While not extremely common, dramatic examples can command strong premiums. Now let's talk about condition. Because these coins are large and heavy, they were prone to bag marks. Many have scratches and dings. Finding one with clean fields, strong luster, and sharp details is tougher than you might expect. High-grade certified coins graded MS66 or MS67 are much scarcer than lower grades, and that scarcity drives prices upward. So what are the real numbers? In circulated condition, most 1776 to 1976 clad Eisenhower dollars are worth around $1 to $3. Uncirculated clad examples may range from $5 to $20 depending on quality. The 40% silver versions generally sell for $10 to $25 in typical uncirculated condition. High-grade certified coins, especially silver proofs or rare Type 2 varieties in top grades, can sell for several hundred to over $1,000 at auction. Not every coin is a jackpot. But the right one absolutely can be E.SO. Let me ask you. Do you own a Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar? Have you checked the edge to see if it's silver? Have you looked closely at the lettering style on the reverse? Tell me in the comments. And which big US dollar coin do you like more, the Eisenhower or the Morgan? The 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower $1 is more than just a large coin. It's a tribute to 200 years of American independence. It connects the Liberty Bell and the moon landing in one bold design. And hidden among the millions are silver pieces, rare varieties, and high-grade gems that collectors still chase today. Top 2. Today we are talking about a massive $1 coin that most people overlook, but in top condition, it can sell for hundreds of dollars. The 1971 D. Eisenhower $1 was the very first year this big dollar returned to circulation after decades without a regular issue dollar coin. And here's the twist, even though millions were made, finding a truly sharp, high-grade example is much harder than you think. In the next few minutes, I'll show you why the 1971 D matters historically, how to spot the valuable versions, the rare varieties collectors chase, and the real prices these coins are bringing today. And near the end, I'll explain why one tiny detail on the reverse can completely change the value. Let's bring the camera in close. The first thing you notice is the size. It's big. Heavy. Almost the size of an old silver dollar. On the front, you see the bold portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Liberty curves across the top. In God We Trust sits to the left. And at the bottom, the date 1971. Just above the date, you'll see a small D. That D tells you it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now flip it over. The reverse shows an eagle landing on the moon, inspired by the Apollo 11 mission insignia. The eagle holds an olive branch, wings spread wide, with Earth floating in the distance. United States of America across the top. $1 at the bottom. This design connects directly to America's space achievements. Eisenhower was president when NASA was created. So this coin honors both a president and the space age. Here's why 1971 is important. From 1935 until 1970, there were no regular circulating dollar coins made for everyday use. Then in 1971, the Eisenhower dollar debuted. It was the first large-size dollar coin in over 35 years. That alone makes it historic, but here's the surprise, the 1971 D is not silver. It's copper-nickel clad. Many people assume all large dollar coins are silver. Not this one. Only special collector versions from San Francisco contained 40% silver. The Denver 1971 D coins were made for circulation, and the Denver Mint produced over 68 million of them. So in circulated condition, they're common. Most worn examples are worth about $1 to $2, but here's where things get interesting. The 1971 D is known for weak strikes. Look closely at the eagle's breast feathers. On many coins, the details are flat or poorly defined. Now zoom in on Eisenhower's hair above the ear. Again, often soft. If you find a 1971 D with strong, sharp feather detail and crisp hairlines, that's a big deal. Collectors pay attention to strike quality. And because many 1971 D coins were heavily marked in mint bags, finding one with clean surfaces is tough. Imagine tilting the coin under bright light. Watch the luster move in a full cartwheel effect. If the fields are clean, with very few contact marks, you might be holding a high-grade example. Now let's talk varieties. There are subtle double-die varieties known for $1,971. Under magnification, you might notice slight doubling in the lettering or date. There are also die cracks and off-center strikes that add collector interest. Dramatic mint errors can push values much higher, and here's the cliffhanger. Population reports show a sharp drop when you get into grades like MS66 and above. While millions exist, very few survive in top condition. That scarcity is where serious collectors compete. So what are the real numbers? In circulated condition, a 1971 D Eisenhower dollar typically sells for around $1 to $2. In uncirculated condition, average mint state examples may bring $10 to $20. Higher grade coins graded MS65 can sell for $25 to $50. Exceptional MS-66 or MS-67 pieces with strong strikes and clean surfaces have sold for several $100s at auction. Major error coins can also range from $50 to a few $100s depending on severity. Not every coin is valuable. But the right one absolutely is, and here's what makes this exciting: this isn't a coin locked away in history books. You can still find 1971 Eisenhower dollars in old collections, inherited boxes, or even at coin shows for small money. The key is knowing what to look for. So let me ask you, do you own a 1971 Eisenhower dollar? Have you ever checked the eagle's feathers closely? Or did you assume it was just a big, common coin? Tell me in the comments. And which large US dollar coin is your favorite, the Eisenhower, the Morgan, or the Peace Dollar? The 1971 Eisenhower $1 marks the return of the big dollar coin. It celebrates a president, honors the space program, and represents a turning point in US coinage history. And while most are worth only a little over face value, high-grade and error examples can command serious collector premiums. Top 3. Today we are talking about a giant dollar coin from the 1970s that most people treat like a novelty, but in the right condition, it can quietly sell for hundreds of dollars. The 1972 Eisenhower $1 looks big, bold, and common. And yes, millions were made. But here's the part that surprises people: finding one with strong details and clean surfaces is much harder than the mintage number suggests. In this video, I'll show you why the 1972 matters, how to spot the valuable high-grade examples, what errors collectors look for, and the real-world prices these coins are bringing today. And near the end, I'll explain the one detail on the reverse that can instantly separate an average coin from a premium one. Let's bring the camera in close. The first thing you notice is the size. It's heavy, thick, larger than modern dollar coins. On the front, you see the powerful portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Liberty stretches across the top. In God We Trust sits to the left. And at the bottom, the date 1972 with a small D mint mark just above it. That D tells you this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now flip it over. You'll see the famous reverse design, an eagle landing on the moon, olive branch in its talons, Earth floating in the background. United States of America across the top. $1 at the bottom. This design was inspired by the Apollo 11 mission insignia, tying the coin directly to America's space achievements. That's part of what makes the Eisenhower dollar special. It connects a president to the space age in one bold image. Now here's the reality check: the Denver Mint struck over 92 million 1972 Eisenhower dollars. So in circulated condition, they're common. Most worn examples sell for around $1 to $2, but here's where things get interesting: the 1972 is known for weak strikes. Zoom in on the eagle's breast feathers. On many coins, they're flat. Look at Eisenhower's hair above the ear. Often soft and lacking detail. That weakness was common in production. So if you find a 1972 with sharp hairlines and fully defined breast feathers, that's your first sign you may have something better than average. Now tilt the coin under strong light. Watch for cartwheel luster flowing across the surface. Check the fields, the flat areas around the portrait and eagle. Are they covered in contact marks, or are they surprisingly clean? Because here's the truth: these coins were stored in large mint bags. They banged against each other. That caused nicks and scratches before they even left the mint. So finding a 1972 with minimal marks is tough, and condition is everything. In lower uncirculated grades like MS-63 or MS-64, these coins might sell for $10 to $20. But when you reach MS-65, prices can move into the $30 to $50 range. In MS-66 and above, auction prices have reached several $100s. The higher the grade, the steeper the rarity curve. Now let's talk about errors. There are double die varieties for 1972 Eisenhower dollars, though most famous varieties are from Philadelphia. Still, Denver issues can show minor doubling in lettering or date. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other mint errors that attract collectors. Imagine spotting a strong die crack running across the reverse. Or a noticeable off-center strike where part of the design is shifted. Those visual differences can make the coin stand out immediately. Here's another detail many people overlook: because this coin is copper-nickel clad, the edge will show a copper stripe sandwiched between nickel layers. If you don't see that stripe, you're probably not looking at a 1972 D. Silver versions were only made in San Francisco for collectors, and now for the numbers. In circulated condition, a 1972 D. Eisenhower dollar typically sells for around $1 to $2. Average uncirculated pieces may bring $10 to $20. Higher grade examples in MS65 can range from $30 to $50. Exceptional MS66 or MS67 coins with strong strike and clean surfaces have sold for several $100s at auction. Error coins vary widely, but dramatic examples can bring anywhere from $50 to a few $100s depending on demand. Not every coin is a jackpot. But the right one absolutely can surprise you, and that's what makes this coin exciting. It's large, historic, and still affordable enough for collectors to hunt in raw form. You don't need a fortune to search for a high-grade piece. You just need patience and a sharp EYE.SO. Let me ask you. Do you own a 1972 D. Eisenhower dollar? Have you ever checked the eagle's feathers closely? Or is it sitting somewhere in a box, waiting to be examined properly? Drop your answer in the comments. And tell me, which Eisenhower dollar year do you think has the most potential? The 1972 D. Eisenhower $1 represents America's return to the large dollar coin. It honors a president, celebrates the space age, and challenges collectors to find the sharpest examples among millions. Top 4. Today we are talking about a giant dollar coin from the 1970s that most people treat like a paperweight, but in the right condition, it can sell for hundreds of dollars. The 1974 D. Eisenhower $1 doesn't contain silver. It wasn't a special anniversary issue. And millions were made. So why are collectors still hunting for it? In the next few minutes, I'll show you why the 1974 D is more interesting than it looks, how to spot the valuable high-grade examples, the errors that can boost its value, and the real prices these coins are bringing today. And there's one small detail on this coin that separates the average from the exceptional. Stay with me. Let's zoom in. The first thing you notice is the size. It's big. Thick. Heavier than modern dollar coins. On the front, you see the strong portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Liberty stretches across the top. In God We Trust sits to the left. And at the bottom, the date 1974 with a small D mint mark just above it. That D tells you it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now flip it over. You'll see the iconic reverse, an eagle landing on the moon, olive branch in its talons, Earth floating in the distance. United States of America across the top. $1 at the bottom. The design was inspired by the Apollo 11 mission patch, tying the coin directly to America's space program. That connection alone makes the Eisenhower dollar special. It honors both a president and the space age in one bold design. Now here's the reality. The Denver Mint produced over 45 million 1974 D. Eisenhower dollars. That means in circulated condition, they're common. Most worn examples are worth about $1 to $2, but here's where it gets interesting. The 1974 D is known for strike quality issues. Many examples show weak detail in Eisenhower's hair and flat breast feathers on the eagle. So when you find one with sharp, well-defined features, that's a big deal. Bring the camera in close to the eagle's chest. Are the feathers crisp and separated? Or do they look smooth and flat? Now check Eisenhower's hair above the ear. Strong lines mean a stronger strike. Next, tilt the coin under bright light. Watch for full cartwheel luster moving evenly across the surface. Because here's the problem, these coins were stored in large mint bags. They knocked against each other. That caused contact marks and scratches before they ever reached collectors. Finding one with clean fields and minimal marks is tougher than you'd expect, and that's where condition rarity comes in. Lower uncirculated grades like MS63 or MS64, a 1974 D might sell for $10 to $20. In MS65, values can move into the $30 to $50 range. But when you reach MS66 or higher, auction prices can climb into the several $100 range. Truly high-grade pieces are scarce compared to the total mintage. Now let's talk about errors. There are known double-die varieties for Eisenhower dollars, and while the most famous ones are from other years, 1974 D coins can still show minor doubling in lettering. You may also find die cracks, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. Dramatic errors are always in demand. Imagine spotting a noticeable off-center strike where part of the design is shifted. That instantly turns an ordinary coin into a conversation piece. Here's another detail: the 1974 D is copper nickel clad, so the edge will show a visible copper stripe between the outer layers. If you don't see that stripe, you're not looking at a standard Denver issue. And now let's talk real numbers. In circulated condition, a 1974 D Eisenhower dollar is typically worth around $1 to $2. Average uncirculated examples often sell between $10 and $20. Higher grade MS-65 coins can range from $30 to $50. Exceptional MS-66 or MS-67 pieces with strong strikes and clean surfaces have sold for several $100s at auction. Error coins vary, but noticeable examples can bring anywhere from $50 to a few $100s depending on severity and demand. Not every coin is valuable. But the best examples absolutely are, and here's what makes this exciting: you can still find these coins at coin shows, in inherited collections, or tucked away in storage boxes. They're not impossible to obtain. The challenge is finding one with exceptional quality. So let me ask you, do you own a 1974 D Eisenhower dollar? Have you checked the eagle's feathers closely? Or did you assume it was just a big, common coin? Tell me in the comments. And which Eisenhower year would you love to find in top condition? The 1974 D Eisenhower $1 represents the bold era of large dollar coins in modern America. It celebrates a president, honors the space program, and challenges collectors to look beyond mintage numbers and focus on quality. Top 5. Today we are talking about a coin most people ignore, but in the right condition, it can sell for thousands of dollars. And the craziest part? It's a big, heavy dollar coin from the 1970s that many people still have sitting in drawers. I'm talking about the 1977 D Eisenhower $1. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what makes this coin special, why collectors hunt for certain versions, the rare errors you need to look for, and how one simple detail can turn a $1 coin into something worth far more. And make sure you stay until the end, because I'll tell you what this coin has actually sold for at auction. So first, let's take a close look. Hold the coin up to the camera. Rotate it slowly. Let the light hit the surface. This is the 1977 D Eisenhower dollar, minted at the Denver Mint. You'll see the D mint mark just below President Dwight D. Eisenhower's neck on the obverse. The front shows a strong portrait of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States and the Supreme Commander during World War II. The design feels bold, heavy, serious. Now flip it over. On the reverse, you'll see the eagle landing on the moon, holding an olive branch. This design was inspired by the Apollo 11 mission patch. It's a powerful image. America in the 1970s. Space exploration. Pride. Ambition. And here's something many people don't realize: the 1977 D Eisenhower dollar was only produced for circulation in copper nickel clad. By 1977, the special 40% silver versions were already discontinued for circulation strikes. So if you find a regular 1977 D in your pocket change, it's not silver. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. Over 32 million were minted in Denver that year. That sounds like a lot. And it is. Which means most circulated examples are only worth face value. $1. But here's where things get interesting: condition is everything. These coins are big and heavy. Almost 38 millimeters wide. They were hard to use in everyday transactions. Vending machines didn't like them. People didn't like carrying them. So many were stored in bags, stacked, scratched, and tossed around. Finding one in high mint state condition is much harder than you think. Now zoom in close on the cheek of Eisenhower. Check for marks. Look at the fields around the portrait. Are they clean? Or full of bag marks? In lower uncirculated grades like MS63 or MS64, the coin might sell for $10 to $25. Not bad for a $1 coin. But in true gem condition, MS65 and above, prices start climbing quickly, and here's the part that surprises most people: that a 1977 Eisenhower Dollar graded MS66 has sold for several $1,000s at major auctions. That's because superb high-grade examples are extremely rare. Most of these coins simply didn't survive in perfect condition, but wait. There's more. Let's talk about errors. Some 1977 Eisenhower dollars have been found with off-center strikes. Others show clipped planchets. And a few have dramatic die cracks running across the surface. These errors can significantly increase value depending on how strong and visible they are. Imagine finding a bold off-center strike where part of the date is missing. That kind of error can sell for hundreds of dollars, sometimes more, depending on the eye appeal. Now here's a detail many collectors overlook: look at the strike quality on the eagle's feathers and the earth below. Some 1977 coins were weakly struck, especially on the reverse. A sharply struck example with crisp feather details is much more desirable. So the next time you see one of these large dollar coins, don't just glance at it and move on. Tilt it under light. Inspect the mint mark. Check the surfaces. You might be holding something far more valuable than you think. And let's talk real numbers. In circulated condition, most 1977 Eisenhower dollars are worth about $1 to $3. In uncirculated condition, they often sell between $10 and $50 depending on grade. High-grade certified examples in MS65 can bring over $100. And superb MS66 examples have reached into the low thousands at auction. Not every coin will hit those numbers. But the possibility is real, and that's what makes coin collecting exciting. The treasure hunt. The surprise. The moment you realize that something ordinary might not be so ordinary after all. So now I want to ask you. Do you own a 1977 Eisenhower dollar? Have you ever checked it closely? And if you could add any rare dollar coin to your collection, which one would it be? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them all. Top 6. Today we are talking about a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but in the right condition, it can surprise even experienced collectors with its value. I'm talking about the 1978 Eisenhower $1. You've probably seen it in coin rolls or drawers, but there's more to this coin than meets the eye. In this video, I'll show you what makes it special, the subtle details that can make it valuable, rare errors to watch for, and the real prices these coins are bringing at auction. Stick around, because one small feature can instantly separate a common coin from a collector's gem. Let's start with the basics. Pick it up. Notice the size. It's large, thick, and heavy, much bigger than today's dollar coins. On the front, you see President Dwight D. Eisenhower, looking sharp and commanding. Liberty stretches across the top. "In God We Trust" is to the left, and at the bottom, the date 1978 with a small D mint mark. That tells you it came from the Denver Mint. Flip it over and you'll see the classic reverse, the eagle landing on the moon, olive branch in talons, earth hovering in the background. United States of America across the top, $1 at the bottom. This design celebrates both Eisenhower and America's space achievements, inspired by the Apollo 11 mission patch. Now here's where it gets interesting: over 50 million 1978 Eisenhower dollars were minted. That's a lot. And for circulated coins, most are worth just $1 to $2. But the key is condition. Many coins were stored in mint bags, stacked together, and scratched before reaching collectors. That makes high-grade examples surprisingly rare. Look closely at Eisenhower's hair and the eagle's breast feathers. Are the details crisp, or are they flat and weak? Weak strikes were common, so sharp features instantly add value. Tilt the coin under light and watch the luster. Smooth, reflective fields with minimal contact marks are what collectors hunt for. There are also errors worth noting. Some 1978 coins show double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Even minor doubling on the lettering or date can boost collector interest. Dramatic mint errors, like a clipped planchet or strong off-center strike, can bring hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and eye appeal, and here's an important detail many miss. The 1978 D. Eisenhower is copper-nickel clad. Check the edge, you'll see a copper stripe sandwiched between two nickel layers. Silver versions were only made in San Francisco for collectors, so this Denver coin is always clad. So what does this mean in real numbers? Circulated coins, around $1 to $2. Average uncirculated, $10 to $20. MS-65 coins, $30 to $50. High-grade MS-66 or MS-67 examples with strong strikes and clean surfaces can reach several $100s. Dramatic error coins can vary, but often sell for anywhere from $50 to a few $100s. Not every coin is a jackpot, but the right one can be a real find. So let me ask you, do you own a 1978 D. Eisenhower dollar? Have you ever checked the eagle's feathers or Eisenhower's hair for sharp details? And if you could add any Eisenhower dollar to your collection, which year would it be? Drop your answer in the comments. I love seeing which coins you're hunting. The 1978 D. Eisenhower $1 is more than just a big coin. It's a tribute to a president, a nod to the space age, and a challenge for collectors to find the best examples among millions. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and watch the next video, because sometimes the coins we think are ordinary hide the most interesting stories.